Wait till you guys on the other side of the
All right.
room.
It is starting.
Buddy, where's your
Supposedly blue is me.
Are you ready? All right, it's 6:30. Call the meeting to order. Mr. Wynn, would you mind opening up with a word of prayer? Not at all. Let's pray. Start with all. Lord God Almighty, thank you that you've given us this opportunity to serve the folks of Stephenson County. And I pray that you help us make good decisions for those that are here tonight, those that have vested interest in what's going on at this community this evening. But for all those in the county, Lord, I just pray that you give us wisdom and discernment, that you help us handle things with integrity, with truth, purpose, and just with the mindfulness of being treated as we would like to be treated. Pray you help us. So pray that in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much. Approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda for this evening? Motion to approve. Motion by Baker. Second by Brent. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. You have in your packet the meeting minutes from June 10th. Motion to approve. So, Brent, second by Hart. Any discussion or questions on those? Hearing none, all those in favor of the approval of the meeting minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. On to claims. We have total claims for our giant committee of $954.29. Motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Motion by Hart, second by Baker. Any discussion? All in favor of paying claims, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This time we have public comment. I don't know how many of you, a couple of things here tonight. You're on camera when you're here. It's on the internet. It's out there, so whatever you say, you don't get to take back. I just want to make you aware of that. You speak this evening. We appreciate you being here. We'll give you all 3 minutes of time as we need it, and we will go from there. Have any questions? We ask that you come to the podium, state your name, and please tell us what your thoughts are. Okay, we have one over here. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Eugene Mills. My wife and I live at 2598 Shepherd Drive, which is just about right in the middle of that 6-acre property. Wants to go to A1 zone. We've lived there since about 1998, so some years. It's pretty peaceful, quiet, fresh air, all that stuff. I don't know that I totally understand everything about zoning differences, but what I get out of it is either property by themselves can't really do very much of a big agricultural operation because it has to be 40 acres. Our concern is if the two people would go together to like form a corporation or something, they would have, or what I got, 40.46 acres. And who knows what back there. So that's kind of our biggest concern. I don't know that the current owners have anything in mind like that. But again, our concern is maybe sometime down the road, they both sell to somebody else or one buys the other out and then they would have the 40 acres. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, I think I understand that 40 acre station, but I'm not positive. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. I do have to say too, thank you very much. That we, as a committee, we appreciate y'all being here. we are not going to respond to questions tonight. We can't do that at this meeting tonight. We can only listen to your concerns. And then down the road, we can look at that better. Can I ask a question to you, Ms. Henning, on the 40-acre thing? Is that zoning?
If they combine, then they can build anything they like. They can have the bigger power to have more hogs, more cows, more anything like that. With the 5 acres and with the 35 point, whatever it is at this point in time, they each can individually have, we have no limits on livestock. So with the 5 acres, he could have, unfortunately, 100 cattle, 100 head of cattle if he wanted to on 5 acres. So, and we can't put limits on livestock because of the Department of Ag.
Thank you.
What would be different if it were 40 acres?
If it's 40 acres, then they can build. Right now, without a dwelling, they cannot build on the empty parcel. The 34, what is Mr. Chapman's?
0.77.
Thank you. That one, he cannot build anything on because there is not a single family dwelling. He would have to come in first for a single family dwelling to the special use, to the ZBA. And then with the dwelling, then he could build a huge, egg building.
Thank you.
Do you want people to ask questions or no?
No.
Okay. Hi, I'm Vicki Tepfer, and no, I'm not in the wrong room. I'm not here for the nursing home. I'm here for this. I live at 2647 Shepherd Drive, and I am here to address 8.2 and 8.3. I've lived out on Shepherd Drive for about 1.5 years. It'll be 2 years in September that my husband and I and our children and dogs all moved out there. And it is a nice, quiet area to live. And my concern with both of these sections here is Mountain Lane is a very undeveloped lane. It's dirt gravel-ish. And that is, from what I understand, the only access into Mountain Lane and to this property that is the 34.77 acres. We have a lot of people in our neighborhood that walk their dogs and so forth. And it's not a very large road that goes through our area. And I know that the type of traffic that someone would need to go back in and take care of livestock and feed and remove manure and do other things like that is going to take a toll then on our subdivision and our roads and affect people in the neighborhood if they're walking or what have you. Also, if you have livestock back there, our pets are going to be hearing them and barking. I'm not objective to livestock. I understand the need for it, but without there being another access to this property and them taking machinery and trucks and livestock through our subdivision, I feel that they're not really thinking of our needs. And as a community out there, we have to take care of our roads and everything, you know, and I just think it would be a bad idea. Mountain Lane, if you drive down it, I've had to tell my kids, they thought it was just like a way to get to the field or something. I'm like, no, that's somebody's house. It's not marked very well as a road, like the rest of our neighborhood is. So I have to say, I'm not in favor of changing this to the ag. I just don't think it would be in the best interest of the people that live out on Shepherd Drive or Woodburn, to be honest with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Saxby. I live at 2642 Shepherd Drive. Lived out there for just about a year now. I moved out in the country from in town. Grew up on farms my whole life. I would rather not have livestock in my backyard. His property touches my property. Enjoy having the windows open in the summer and with a good west wind and having it right 200 feet in my backyard. I won't be able to enjoy that. So I would just rather it stay the zoning it is now instead of having A1. Thank you.
My name's Dan Williams, and I live on 2362 Shepherd Drive. And I'm here to express my strong opposition to the two map amendments tonight. I grew up on a dairy farm and know everything there is about livestock. 2.5 years ago, we moved to Country Squire subdivision from Freeport to enjoy the rural aspect of the area. We do not expect to have to deal with potential farm coming in and out of subdivision on the roads. The only entrance to the two parcels requesting a zoning is easement driveway through Country Squire's estates. Mr. Friedman does not currently live full-time at Mountain Lane address. He has had Mr. Chapman's calves on his parcel and only had them removed after his being issued a citation in appearance court. How is he going to take care of livestock if he is not in residence full-time? That practice I have seen, like Mr. Chapman, do not provide a good quality of life for his animals. And currently, he does not respect life or the homeowners in the subdivision that he must travel through. Manure is being hauled from his place on Pearl City Road, down Van Brockland Road to Forest Road, through the subdivision, dropping huge floods of manure along the way. Not only is this a mess, it is a safety hazard to motorcycles if they were to hit this at night. I urge you to deny the request for both map amendments due to the fact that parcels are surrounded by two residential subdivisions. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Lieber. I have lived in Country Squires subdivision 41 years. We own two parcels of property in Country Squires subdivision. A couple of parcels adjoining parcels of property that adjoin Mr. Friedman, 34.75 acres that Mr. Chapman owned. I submitted my letter of opposition. Highlight on those points, but I have a neighbor who is out of the country and had submitted a letter addressing Jasmine Ware. And I'd like to read that because a lot of the points that he is hitting on here are applicable to what we're all trying to relay to all of you tonight. It says, "Dear Ms. Winger, I am writing to inform you that I will be out of the country on vacation during the hearings at Stephenson County Zoning Board and Stephenson County Court related to the map amendment MA 2024-02. I would like to express my strong opposition, capital letters, to the map amendment for the following reasons. I moved to this property from Dallas, Texas in December of 2006 because we like the rural setting without the visible presence of environmental impact of agricultural activity associated with the many uses of an A1 zoning district. There are only existing one entrance to this parcel. It is through Shepherd Drive, Country Squire Estates in parentheses, and an easement adjacent to the north side of my property. Access is also possible through the empty lot immediately to the south of my property. Delta T Trust, Elon Friedman, in parentheses, purchased the property in September of 2022, and Mr. Friedman has continued to live in a different city. This could result in an absent owner of potential farming activity adjoining my property. Shepherd Drive was not intended or constructed for the regular use of heavy agriculture equipment associated with A1 zoning. The relatively thin pavement and narrow streets do not allow for the easy passing of such equipment without greatly increasing the risk of damage to streets and other vehicles. As my property sits on the east of Mr. Friedman and other adjoining farmland, prevailing winds from the west would subject me to increased odors of additional livestock kept on A1 zoning. This would have a detrimental effect on both my quality of life and the real estate value of my property.
Anecdotally, the owner or leasee of the property adjoining Mr. Friedman has been using large tractors and dropping manure on Shepherd Drive over the last 2 years. I do not wish to see any further expansion of such activity in a quiet neighborhood and streets where kids play freely and I walk my dog. The decision to allow the map amendment not only impacts the adjacent landowners, but the entire subdivision as the only entrance to the parcel. I strongly urge you to deny the map amendment and consider the concerns and perspective of those affected by it. Best regards, Quentin Barkley. And Quentin resides at 2538 Shepherd Drive. Thank you very much.
Steve,
Yes.
if I could, if everybody in the room that's here to speak on these, so I hope you understand, this body can only make recommendations to the zoning board of appeals. They can make a recommendation to deny. Decision is not made here, only in CBA in that hearing. So you want to make sure that you attend that hearing because you'll be allowed to give testimony. So if the zoning board of appeals passes this, it comes back to the county board. The county board then can only consider the testimony at that hearing. So you will not be able to give public comment at the county board meeting if it's approved. You can't call board members. You can't discuss it. It's an actual hearing and only that evidence can be considered. So I'm glad you guys are here tonight and you're expressing your opinion, but there'll be no decision as to whether it goes to ZBA or not. It goes to ZBA regardless, just so everyone understands.
And I've had that conversation with some of these already.
Perfect.
But we also know we get to make a recommendation, but we
Absolutely.
don't decide. I've explained that
Perfect.
to these already.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Jill Gastel, and I live at 2557 Cooper Drive. My husband and I have been there since 1994. I don't have a lot to add. I agree with everything that everybody else has said already. But the fact that we've already seen, he's already leaving manure on the roads. I'm a dog walker every day. My dog thinks it's a big treat and it's impossible to pull her along and get her along, but we have to do it for about a quarter of a mile or more to get through that. We have kids that play and ride bikes and they're running through it, or well, it's on there, that's a Dodge, I should say. We have, our neighborhood comes in, people drive their cars, into the subdivision. It's hard to miss it. So it's on our tires. We then bring it into our garages and then we get to deal with the smell and stuff in our own garages, which we shouldn't have to deal with that. I agree with the farm equipment ruining our roads. It's already thin. You can always see from the garbage trucks and stuff, taking its toll on it. But if we start to allow farm equipment and animals in there, it would just make it worse. I just would hope that we can deny this option. So.
Last chance. Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate everybody coming and discussing their concerns, and we will have a discussion on this when it reaches that point in our agenda. Moving on, reports to committee. Report partnership.
Made it just in the nick of
You
time.
did.
I think Georgia distributed to everyone, but I have paper copies here of our quarterly report, which I'll distribute in just a minute, with some highlights of activities that occurred in the last month. We're continuing to meet with companies all of the time. This morning I met with Pearl City Elevator. What's coming out of those conversations, or an understanding that workforce shortages have eased. There's still open positions at many places, but it's not as dire as it was a year ago this time. And depending upon the jobs, applicants, there are more applicants applying for those open positions than there were a year ago this time. But one of the things that has become acute and is challenging for, all employers, I would say across the board, is childcare or lack of childcare. So being responsive to this, we hosted an HR roundtable and invited 3 of our largest childcare providers. That would be Open Bible Daycare, Amity Daycare, as well as the YMCA Children's Center, to a discussion with employers to really understand the push and the pull of this issue, some of the licensing issues, the regulations that they have, and they have their own workforce issues, as well as hearing from employers in terms of the difficulty filling positions for second shift, because there is no second shift childcare facility that is open and operating, or Saturday childcare. Many of the employees at Honeywell mentioned that, or many of their employees are single mothers. And so it is challenging to be the breadwinner, also the childcare provider, especially when you're mandated to work a Saturday shift. So what happened in that hour meeting was some innovative solutions that might temporarily solve some of the issues. What's happening is that employers are going back, surveying their employees to try to quantify the number of children, the ages of the children. And then those childcare providers were thinking, like, we put together a Saturday co-op. Would you have a few employees and I have a few employees and you have a few employees who would all want to work together on a Saturday at one of these facilities to offer childcare for a period of time? So more follow-up is going to occur, more follow-up meetings. But that's what the partnership is here to help facilitate those solutions. Also requested by our local businesses for localized wage data. So we put together a survey that was distributed to our largest employers, our contacts through human resources, and all of our manufacturers, asking for low, medium, and high, basically, of wages for positions that were universal to almost every industry. We received 22 responses, and we're currently evaluating that information. We'll have a follow-up meeting with our HR roundtable to kind of distribute the findings. Let's see. We had 3 RFIs that we could respond to 3 requests for information from Intersect Illinois in the past month. We were able to respond to half of them. There was a total of 6. I'm seeing more and more requests for information for existing buildings, with the cost of construction continuing to be very high. Businesses are looking at, how can I retrofit, or how can I move into an existing facility that would serve my needs, as opposed to building ground up. So we were able to respond to 3 of those. We're continuing to follow up. One of the other things that we're watching, but it probably will not come to more information won't be forthcoming until the beginning of next year, is the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCEO, has allocated $40 million for fiscal year 2025 for a renewed site readiness program. They're expecting a notice of funding opportunity to be distributed in the first quarter of next year. So we will follow up accordingly and watch that opportunity. We will be following schedule-up meetings with the new owner of Lot 5, Millrace Crossing. He's currently in the country now, but he's on the West Coast doing business. He should be in town the first 10 days of August, and I'd like to coordinate a meeting. I will follow up with both of you. We will also be meeting with Blackhawk Hills, the village president of Lena and Pearl City, on Wednesday afternoon to discuss blighted housing. This had been an issue that Blackhawk Hills, I think, have been helping those communities address or develop a program. I think that there was a planner on staff that maybe then moved on. Both of those communities would like to rekindle that conversation and see how they can move something forward. We continue to meet and work on a memorandum of understanding with the Rockford Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. There's a draft MOU established between the partnership and RACVB. And this would, again, this was so the partnership could, or Stephenson County, so that RACVB could collect Stephenson County's portion of the local tourism tax that the state collects. So this isn't tax that we're going to be taking away from Stephenson County or the city of Freeport. No one is collecting this tax. This is the state prorates a portion of the tourism tax that they collect back to certified tourism districts or tourism organizations. Currently, when the partnership was formed, we didn't have a separate board for tourism, and so we had to forego that money. We're working with Rockford RACVB to basically enter into an understanding that we would be providing the same services we already do, tourism and marketing for Stephenson County. They would collect Stephenson County's portion and then distribute it to us, almost like a contractor, if you would. If that makes sense. This was a letter that we had to have issued from Stephenson County, and I think late March. Thank you. And so that work is continuing to go forward. Of course, we've moved into another state fiscal year, so we're hoping to have something ironed out by the end of this month. And follow up, two other items of note. We've hired a development services manager. So hopefully next month, John Bosco will be accompanying me to this meeting. He will be filling the position that I vacated when I moved into the executive director role. So I will still be reporting and attending these meetings as frequently as my schedule allows, but I would also like for you guys to meet him and get to know him as well. He will be also handling economic development work as I did when I was in that position. So there will be a follow-up Stephenson County Broadband Advisory meeting that just got scheduled for July 31st at 9 a.m. at the Farm Bureau. There will be email invitations that will be going out. They might be coming directly from July 31st, 9 a.m. I think there will be an email invitation coming out from someone from R1, but we'll make sure to get that information distributed. Any questions I can answer?
Anything else? Thank you very much. Amy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a statement, if I may.
We're past that now. There's time at the end, though. There's another segment at the end.
Okay.
Okay, we can, if you can wait till then. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Andy.
Okay, $8,252.50 was deposited for the month of June. It was a slow month with building permits. We've seen it kind of decline again, which is not a good thing. Total to date to the general fund is $66,358.66. So we're on track of hitting our 120 that we proposed that would be deposited. Nicole had prepared 3 applications for the zoning board of appeals hearing. I worked, excuse me, on the 2 code amendments pertaining to the weeds, grass, and landscape waste. One is to comply with the state statute, and one is due to the fact that we have been seeing more and more complaints from adjacent landowners in residentially zoned districts that have neighbors with highly unkept vegetation. Those are all being presented tonight. We met with a representative from Agreco on the potential of another special use for solar. And more occupancy certificates have been completed. And I am currently working with board member Larry Jogers on the dangerous buildings code, hoping to have that wrapped up in the next couple months. Excuse me. And I'm still working on going through our code revise, anything that needs to be updated. So the next probably year, you'll be seeing more and more codes come through that need to be revised or totally wiped out.
All right, moving on. Soil and Water District, probably their biggest concern right this moment. And then I think Mr. Hart was sending me some more information on that, but the state budget for the state of Illinois took about 50% of their dollars away. Their funding for the next fiscal year. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to be providing those services to those of us that use them for various things, whether it's well closings or whether it's waterways getting designed or whatever. So keeping staff available is probably going to be the biggest concern that they have. So that's the big thing going on there. Recreation and trails. Yes, sir.
All right, so I've got a Jane Addams Trail update. It's brief, so I'll just read it real quick. This is actually as of July 5th, and I think I reported on this last month. The RTP project, as reported previously, the bids for the RTP 23 grant project were much higher than what they budgeted for. The Department of DNR allowed for negotiations with the low bidder to determine if the work could be reduced to bring the cost within budget. Unfortunately, those negotiations with the low bidder were not able to achieve the reduction. Therefore, the RTP project will be rebid with a reduced work scope. It's expected that the bids will be open sometime in August. Actual project work is still hoped for this fall. Next meeting date, because of the RTP project, has been delayed, so there's no need to meet in early July. They'll determine before July 18th to decide whether they meet in July. Mowing of the Jane Addams Trail since the last update. Park maintenance for the city of Park District of Freeport crews have completed mowing the rest of the trail. Shoulders from Orangeville north to the state line. West Block improvements. They've received favorable comments on the improvements, including the paved driveway and entrance and connector path by the shelter, as well as the Memorial Bike Repair Station. The Memorial Recognition plaque in memory of Robert McDonald and his family has been installed. Fiberglass marker posts have been installed along the entrance driveway to keep traffic from cutting across the dirt grass. The Pecatonica River boat docks and kayak launch has not yet been installed at the West Block due to the continuing high water. That's all I have on that.
Did see some good comments on Facebook about West Block.
Going back to soil and water real quick, and I don't need to know now, but they historically had a pretty healthy balance sheet.
It's not there now.
What did they spend it on?
It's mostly going towards salaries.
It was sizable.
It was like 250,000 back once before.
I thought it was closer to 5, but regardless, I mean, if they can provide that.
I can get that information.
I'm assuming when we get to budget time, they're gonna be asking for more, so that's just
We
a
haven't
question.
done anything for a number of years. At one point, we were at 40,000.
Right.
So,
And I believe their fiscal year is July 1, June 30.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Helms?
I have a question. Could you refresh my memory of what RTP stands for?
Those for the bridges. I'm not sure what the acronym stands for.
I thought it was the bridges, but I couldn't. I can't seem to make sense of it from the acronym.
Recreational trail project. How about that?
There you go. Thank you.
That's just off the top.
Pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
That's why you think
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not hear anything from Mr. Newton on Black Elk Hills. So we'll move on from there. We'll skip number 7.6 and go down to the strategic planning session. Mr. Monroe did send a note today, if you had that in your email, it's that he has been made the leader of the Accessible Transportation Subcommittee. They're working on some things, if you want to read through it, with the Highway Department, making some contacts regarding Russell City Transit, FHN, and Highland College, and expanding maybe the bus service in Freeport. It's trying to assess some need from the community, if that's something that we need to do. And the Highway Department is also working on a safety plan. I'm not sure exactly what that is at this point, but some of that information will also be part of this subcommittee, and they have a meeting scheduled for August 8th. Okay, moving on. New business. I guess I'll go to you.
Okay. First one on the agenda is for Brian Gerber for a special use to allow for a single family dwelling in the Ag District on Dublin Road. We do not have any objectors for that. It's on 10.1 acres. I do believe he's already had a soil boring in the parcel the portion of the parcel that is up towards the road, since there is a creek that runs through there. And the pipeline also, the NICOR pipeline also runs through there. So there's an easement, but the new owners are well aware of it.
And if you're looking, the land assessment score is low enough that it,
Yes, yeah. And right now it's just pretty much prairie.
So we need a motion to approve the use permit.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. 8.2, we want to do 8.2 and 8.3 together, I guess we got to do.
They're
them
separate. Sorry. The next item on the agenda is for Tim Chapman, Storm Valley Farms LLC. He is requesting a map amendment to allow for from E1 estate residence to A1 prime ag to allow for livestock.
So I don't do this very often, I don't usually make a motion as the chairman, but on this one, I'd like to make a motion that we do not approve this amendment for several reasons. First of all, this property has been zoned residential since 1971. These people have owned it less than a year. They knew when they bought it that it was zoned residential. And number two, it's between two subdivisions in our county. So I really feel that this is not a good parcel of ground to change and remove from residential. Maybe the parameters of the growth of those two subdivisions has changed. But I don't think that this particular parcel needs that change to Ag 1 to exist.
Second.
Anyone else?
I would just add that, individual, I don't see them here tonight, but secondly, they knew what they were buying when they purchased it. So, I think it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you, to look at the actual position of where this property is. I'm usually very much for a property, 99.9% of the time. This would be the 0.1% where it doesn't make sense. I would highly recommend the zoning board. Makes no sense.
Any other comments?
I agree. Be my comment.
Hearing none, all those in favor of not approving this zoning amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is for Alon Friedman, Delta T Trust. Mr. Friedman lives in Chicago, but his property address in Stephenson County is 2539 Mountain Lane. He is requesting the same as Mr. Chapman, a zoning district map amendment from E1 estate residence to A1 prime ag to allow for livestock.
I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to deny this. Zoning board, you guys.
Mr. Brandt was in there first, so we'll. Any other comments though? Hearing none, all those in favor of denying this request signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries as well. On to the
The right one.
nuisance one.
All right. Like I said earlier, we have been receiving probably 2 calls a week from residents in Country Squires, Royal Oaks, Willow Lake. I've actually had 2 today already from Willow Lake. The one north of town, I can't think of what Hillcrest Drive, I think that one is. So I went ahead and tried to add this into our code, if you would pass it along to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's for grass, weeds, and other vegetation. I believe it is, off the top of my head, I forgot already, 8 inches in height. And if there's dead trees hanging over on someone else's parcel, anything that can be a danger or a health, safety, something like that, they would be issued a citation, a letter first. If they don't comply, then they would go before the court system, or once we do receive an application for our code hearing officer, they would go that way. It's not something we're gonna go out and look for we have enough on our plate, but if we do receive complaints this way, we can then go after that.
And that, I guess I should have a motion first before I ask a question.
I will move to forward the Stephenson County Code Amendment as presented to the Zoning Board of Appeals for approval.
Second.
Second.
Second, I'm Baker. That's only on county property, so in a village or something like
Correct,
that.
only on the unincorporated parcels and, only on anything that's residential, no business, no manufacturing, no ag.
Why is that?
Manufacturing, we usually don't have an issue with, they take care of their places. It seems if you're in the ag district, there really isn't any normal adjacent landowners that say, hey, their grass is over 8 inches, type thing, or their tree's gonna fall on us. They seem to be more, and going through other counties' codes, this is pretty much based off of other counties' codes. And I haven't really ever, I don't think in 8 years, received a complaint of one in an ag district. And that would be hard as well, because some fields along the fence lines have, and they kill it off, but it's still there, so.
Any other comments? All those in favor of adding this amendment on nuisances to the county code, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, on to landscape waste.
This one was brought to my attention, that our code is actually antiquated. According to the Illinois EPA, you cannot take landscape waste from one site to another site to be burned. In our code, it stated landscape waste may be only burned on the site where it is generated, or at sites supervised by local government or business owner. So that means someone that has a tree service can take it to their parcel and then burn it elsewhere. I could take mine to Mr. Brand's and burn it at his house if he would allow me. That is actually illegal. It has to be disposed of and burned on your own property. Don't ask me why. That's the EPA. I actually talked with a gentleman today as well. So I gave you the revised one. It's a different one that was in your packet because I had it where it stated supervised by local government taken out as well. But if we have townships that take it back to their township building and burn, that's actually legal. Or the highway department takes it to their facility there and burn, that's legal. So I had to add that back in. So it's crossing out the or business owner. Did I confuse you all now? Clear as mud?
So only government entities can move it and burn it.
Correct.
Let's go back to the previous one. Do we get the county townships to take care of the noxious weeds that are on their property?
That would be a question for Beth Gilmore. She is our, I think they call it a superintendent. I'm not sure what her title is for that, but I know there was a legal ad placed. So all you have to do is call the health department, which is the zoning office's phone number, option 1, ask for Beth and turn them in. I've already done it twice. I don't know if they've been taken care of, but.
Thank you. Going back to the landscape waste ordinance. I have a motion. Motion, is there a second? By Master Whalen. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries as well. I don't think we have any other old business to take care of. We are back to public comment. If somebody has additional comments they want to make, go ahead.
Oh, I'm Nicholas Smith. I've lived at 2518 Shepherd Drive 42 years. And that mountain lane goes right past my house. And it was designed to go down to the 2539 address. It wasn't meant to go past it, across the creek and up. So I'm not sure that it's going to hold up for that. But I've been noticing that a lot of people, somebody brings maybe once or twice a week, brings stuff. I'm not sure what it is. It might be cow manure, or it might be other trash, but they're hauling stuff in there. And, I don't think they're supposed to be doing that. And, you know, that is not a strong road, it's just a gravel. And they really shouldn't be driving their tractors. So I'm against it, them using it. And another thing, that there's a notice in here that there's changes in the map. I never got anything like that. We just got this information Friday, dated June 10th, but just showed up in our mailbox. I don't have any other comments.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, you're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Hearing none. Motion to adjourn. There's a second. All in favor?
Hey, if I can just say, as a member of this committee, thank you all. for Taking the time to come up here and express your opinions. It means a lot, at least to me. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedule.
Make sure you go to the ZBA hearing.
But yes, remember what he said.
Still gonna come out.
It still comes up, and that's the one where your testimony is.
That's the final deal.